Now, I don't know about you guys, but here in northwestern Montana, we went from this absolutely fabulous fall immediately to winter. So I thought for today's practice, we'll pull it back a little bit. We'll do a 20-minute-ish yin practice and move us into this season of rest and renewal a little bit more easily than Mother Nature had in mind for us, at least up here in Western Montana. Now, for this practice, you're going to need some props. I'm a big fan of props in yoga. If you're not, that's fine too. But I will be demonstrating with props. I have a nice big bolster here. I've got a smaller bolster just on the opposite side of that. I've got a couple of blankets and some blocks. Now, if you don't have a big bolster, you can use a cushion off of your sofa. You can use pillows off of the bed. You can use a couple of nice big blankets folded and stacked up on top of each other. So if you need to get any of those things now before we start practice, push pause and I'll meet you back here on the mat. Let's start in a comfortable seat, whether that's Sukhasana, if it's crisscross applesauce for you, if you need your legs out a little bit further, whatever's comfortable to you in this moment. Once you get there, place your hands on your knees. Soften your gaze, close your eyes, and just come into this space. Forget anything that's happened up to this point and breathe. I invite you to deepen your breath, paying attention to any spots in your body that you feel might need a little bit more breath. Maybe it's your toes. Can you direct that breath to your toes? Maybe it's your shoulders. You breathe a little bit more prana into those shoulders. Maybe it's your hips. Wherever you've decided, let's take 3 more deep breaths into those areas. On that last exhale, gently float your eyes open. And we'll move into our first pose, which is butterfly. Now, butterfly is similar to Baddha Konasana, except that we don't pull our heels as close in as we would in Baddha Konasana. So I want this really nice, beautiful diamond shape here. And in this pose, we're going to fold forward. If you feel like you're kind of rounding into your back here, we want a more anterior tilt here. So if that's not something that's very accessible to you sitting on the ground, I invite you to sit on a folded blanket to get that nice anterior tilt into your back there. Now, in Yin, we want to really become still in these poses. We don't want any muscular to hold us up. We're moving into the ligaments, into the tendons, and into the fascia. So if you need to support your knees so that you don't feel like you're having to hold them up with your muscles, put some blocks under your knees. And then we'll simply start to fold forward, hinging from our hips, nice straight back here. Now there's a couple of options. If you would like to have something to prop your head up with, you can absolutely bring in a bolster to do that. What we don't want, again, is to have all of this musculature holding us up. So let's fold into this pose, whatever that looks like for you, nice straight back. Once you get to that point where you can't keep your back straight any longer, simply allow your head to roll forward. Now we're going to be in this pose for about 3 minutes, starting now. As you come into this pose, commit to some stillness. Feel the sensation in the groin area. You should feel sensation but no pain. If there's pain, come out a little bit further. Find that place of edge and commit to the stillness from there. As you hold this pose, imagine yourself sitting in a warm winter forest. The trees, stripped of their leaves, stand resilient and honest, reminding you that winter invites you to let go of what no longer is needed. Breathe deeply into the spaces of your hip and your lower back, creating warmth and openness. Move out of this pose. Push into your palms of your hand. Walk up. A nice straight spine. Invite those knees together with your hands. Remove any blocks or props that you have in your way. We'll move into our next pose, which is deer pose. Now again, if you don't have a nice big bolster, you can use a couple of blankets to build up that height. And we'll prepare for this pose by placing either your blankets or your bolster at one end of your mat lengthwise. Place a hip up against that and bring your legs into deer pose. So you've got one leg that comes straight out from your hip, folded in here, and then your other leg is tucked in to that foot, and then angled again at that knee. So you can either use a pose with this, you can use a prop with this pose. We'll come down this way. If you don't have props or you prefer not to use props in your yin practice, you can come down to your forearms and just allow that head to hang. As I mentioned, I'm a big prop fan, so I am going to use the prop here. And we'll turn our bodies towards that bolster, and then you can walk yourself down, resting a cheek on either side that's comfortable for you. And again, we'll be in this pose 3 minutes, starting now. And again, come into this pose with a commitment to stillness. Find that edge. And sink into it. As your body begins to soften into this pose, notice the gentle stretch in your hips and up your spine. Winter isn't a season for rushing or forcing, but for yielding. Just as the snow yields to the warmth of the sun, imagine your body embracing the pose with ease, creating space for quiet introspection. Press into your hands, guide yourself up to the spine again. Now you can just switch over this way. I'm going to turn myself around just so that I can still see you guys. And the left hip is going to go against that bolster. Leg comes out from the hip, knee angles in, this thigh rests up against that foot, and then we've got this nice thing, kind of like a pinwheel. And we're going to turn our body to the prop, whether that's a bolster or a couple of blankets folded up together. And again, if you're going to be on your forearms, please just allow your head to fold in so that you're not holding yourself up with all of your back muscles. And fold down onto your prop. We'll be in this pose for 3 minutes. Starting now. And again, notice a difference on this side. Notice where your edge is on this side. And once you find that, simply sink into it. If there's any pain, come out a little bit further so that you can remain comfortable and still. As you come into the pose on this side, feel the breath travel to the areas of sensation in your body. There should be no pain, just sensation. Like the warmth seeping through a winter coat. Inhale into any tightness. Exhale to release it. Trust in the stillness, knowing it's the season's gift, a time to pause, restore, and reflect. Bring the palms of your hands to bring yourself up. We'll be moving into Sphinx and then in the seal pose. So let's get rid of this big bolster. I am a fan of having a nice blanket folded up under my ribs when I'm in my Sphinx pose, and then I pull it back under my hips into seal pose. So if you'd like to do that, go ahead and grab your blanket. We'll come down onto our bellies. You're going to place that blanket under your ribs to start in our Sphinx pose. And again, this isn't about musculature and holding yourself up. This is about sinking in to those tendons and ligaments and fascia. So we're going to allow our shoulders just to kind of drop. You're not going to drop so far that your shoulders are up around your ears, but you are going to let them just kind of sink. Make sure your heart center is open in this pose. And again, you can allow your head to kind of fall forward without any muscular tension or holding. And we'll be in this pose again for 3 minutes, starting now. You have a little bit of compression in the back, in that kidney area. It shouldn't feel painful. You should just have a sensation there. Again, find your edge, and then find stillness. As you settle into Sphinx pose, imagine the stillness of a winter morning. Let the ground under you support you, like the earth blanketed in frost, holding space for rest and renewal. Let's return to our mantra, gentle reflection. Repeat this silently or aloud, letting each word flow with your breath. On the inhale, feel the gentle embrace of the pose. And on the exhale, invite reflection, a moment of honor, a moment to honor the season's stillness. Move into seal pose now. So you can either press right into your arms and stay here. But if you're like me and you like a little bit more support in that hip area, pull that blanket or the bolster back. Rest your hips on that spot and come up into seal. If this is too much, you can move your hands out a bit. And again, we'll be here for 3 minutes. Starting now. Make sure that you find the comfortable position in this pose. It can be a little intense, but there should be no pain, just sensation. Find that edge, and then find your stillness. As you hold seal pose, picture the light of reflection spreading through your heart and belly. Feel gratitude for the moments you've lived this year and the growth they've nurtured. Rest in the knowing that winter's stillness is not an absence, but a preparation for what's to come. lower yourself down to your forearms. And then push back into a tabletop. Maybe do a little wiggle here. Our final pose will be a child's pose. And again, you can either have it as a supported child pose. You can go into a child's pose with your head on your mat. You can go into a child's pose with your head on a block if you prefer that. For me, I'm going to use the big bolster. I'm going to bring it here in between my thighs. This is a nice wide-legged child pose. We're going to fold in and we'll rest into that pose. So go ahead and bring yourself down onto your prop, whether that's a bolster, blanket, or if you're going into the full pose. All I ask is that you stay still and that you sink into this pose. This isn't an active pose. It's a pose that we're going to move into the ligaments, into the tendons, and into the fascia. So just allow yourself to sink into the pose, and we will start our 3-minute pose now. As you fold into child's pose, feel the earth rise to meet you, as if cradling you in the stillness of winter. Let your forehead rest gently on the mat or a block, grounding you like the quiet calm of a snow-covered field. Connect with your breath. Whisper the mantra in your mind, gentle reflection. Feel the words echo within you, inviting stillness and introspection. Imagine yourself as a seed beneath the snow, nestled in the dark, fertile soil of winter's rest. This is a time of preparation, quiet growth, even if it's unseen. Allow your body to surrender, trusting the wisdom of the season to guide you. Press into your palms, coming out of this kind of pose. Ease. Move any props that are in your way and come to a nice, comfortable seated position, whatever that looks like for you. And as we close our practice, we'll circle sweep our arms up overhead, gathering all of that rest and renewal energy that we cultivated in this practice, pulling it down to our hearts. I want to thank you for practicing with me today. I hope this practice brought you a sense of ease and transition into the new season of winter. And if you liked this practice, please don't forget to subscribe, like this practice itself, and if you have any comments or if anything came up for you in this practice, please leave them in the comments. Namaste.